Hello students. Today we are going to look at types of angles. Our essential question is, what are the types of angles? My learning intention. I am learning the types of angles and using their properties to find unknown quantities. There are two warm-up questions, so please pause the video and see if you can do those now. Hopefully you tried it on your own. If you're successful, if you can find the right answer, then you know you're getting the concept. To start off with, we have to look at our parentheses. Since we can't simplify anything in parentheses, we do the distributive property. And we do it to both of those terms. This side won't change. 3 plus 5n equals 5 times n is 5n. 5 times 2 is 10, so plus 10 minus 7. 3 plus 5n is equal to 5n. Now we simplify here. 10 minus 7 is 3, plus 3. What do you notice? At this point, if we subtract 5n from both sides, we're left with 3 equals 3. Do you remember what happens if what we see always happens? Well, our solution set is the set of real numbers. Every number that you put in will make it a true statement. So, the solution is the set of real numbers. There's an infinite number. Okay, this was our topic we just learned about. Okay, so let's look at the next problem. We have the negative sign we have to distribute to both of them, so it's like multiplying by -1. We end up with -3 plus 6b is equal to 6b plus 5. What happens this time when we take away our 6b from both sides? We end up with -3 is equal to +5. When will that happen? That never ever happens. -3 is never equal to -5. In this case, there is no solution. So as we're going through learning how to solve, we have to remember there are times when we will not get a solution, and there are times when we get an infinite number of solutions. So what types of angles do we have? Okay, what is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees? Acute angle. So if we are talking about an angle that is less than 90 degrees, we're talking about an acute angle. What angle is an angle whose degree measure is greater than 90 but less than 180? Begins with an O. Obtuse. So acute angle is less than 90, and obtuse is between 90 and 180. Then we have an angle whose measure is exactly 180 degrees. Picture in your mind what happens if it is exactly 180 degrees. It makes a what? It makes a straight line. So that would be a straight angle. Okay. Hopefully this is all a review. Complementary angles are a pair of angles whose measures add up to how many degrees? 90 degrees is correct. Supplementary are a pair of angles whose measures add up to, supplementary means we've got that line going on, so it's 180 degrees. A linear pair is a pair of adjacent angles who form a straight line. Okay. Adjacent angles are angles who they have a common vertex and a shared side. They have a common vertex and a shared side. Congruent angles. What does congruent mean? It means the exact same size and shape. Well, all angles have the same shape, so all angles are similar. But congruent angles have the same measure. Now, do complementary and supplementary angles need to be adjacent? No. Their measures just have to add up to either 90 degrees or 180 degrees. Okay, vertical angles are, if you're looking at vertical angles, A and D are vertical, B and C are vertical. What do you think they are? Well, they are congruent. The symbol for that is an equal sign with a little sideways S on the top. Okay, so we're going to prove that vertical angles are congruent. What we're given is intersecting lines with angles A, B, C, and D. Okay, so we're starting off with it in 99% of your proofs. You start off with what is given. So intersecting lines with angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle D. That's our given information. Okay, what is the definition of a linear pair? Well, they add up to 180 degrees. They form that line. So if I'm looking at angles A and B, I know that their measures will form a straight line. Okay. So I've just said this plus this makes 180 degrees. Likewise, the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle D equals 180 degrees. That's also your definition of linear pair. Okay, now I'll come down here. We've started off with the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B equals 180. Then we go the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle D equals 180. They're both equal to 180, so they have to be equal to each other. What have we done? It begins with an S. You do it when you know that x is equal to some number and you're using an equation. Substitution. This is a different form of substitution than what you usually see. Okay, subtraction. What can I subtract off? I look up here. What do I see on both sides of the equal sign? Well, the measure of angle B. The measure of angle B is actually a number. So we can subtract that off, and we end up with the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle D. That's by subtraction. If their angle measures are the same, then the angles are congruent. That's where the definition of congruent goes. Okay, now am I done? Well, technically yes, but you probably need to tell the reader likewise angle B will be congruent to angle C. So we could go through and prove that again, and it would be the exact same proof. Or we can just say likewise for angle B will be congruent to angle C. I'm going to use the infinity sign to tell my reader I am done. That is it. Okay, find x and find all the angle measures. So as I'm looking at this, I notice that I have vertical angles. I know that vertical angles are congruent. If they're congruent, then those two expressions are equal to each other. So 3x plus 25 is equal to 6x minus 5. Step 1, subtract 3x from both sides. 25 is equal to 3x minus 5. Two-step equation now. Add 5 to both sides. 30 is equal to 3x. Divide by 3. And 10 is equal to x. Okay, does it matter which one I use, which equation I use to find the first angle measure? No. I think that 6x minus 50 is minus 5 is going to be easier. So 6x minus 5 is equal to 6 times 10 minus 5, which is equal to 60 minus 5, which is equal to 55 degrees. So this one's 55 degrees. Likewise, this one is 55 degrees. That still does not give us the other 2 degree measures. What do I have to do? What information do I use? If I hold my finger up here, what do you see? Well, it's a straight line. It's a linear pair. Linear pair means 180 degrees. So I can take 180 degrees minus 55 degrees, and I will get 125 degrees. Vertical angles are congruent. I am now done. I know I'm successful when I can identify the types of angles and use their properties to find unknown quantities. So these are angle types and vertical angles.